Looks a little unprofessional.
Hola, hola. Coming live for the last time from Mexico, or for the last time in this group anyway. Um, when you're there, say hello. If you watch the replay, obviously let us know you watch the replay, please. We're going to start promptly at 4, so 2 more minutes, but we're going to let some people roll in.
4 home or 4 here?
Sorry, 4 here, which is 3 your time, or 3 where you are, or where a lot of you might be. 3 Mountain Standard Time. So we're going to see who joins us live first, and we'll give it a few minutes. Hey, Kelly. Today we're going to talk about why gravitating to the complicated is keeping you stuck. I've been having this conversation. I don't know if I've been having it with a lot of people per se, but it's been coming up in things that make me want to have the conversation. That's
yeah, even in through our coaching program and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we're hearing a lot of people talking about why they want to make things more difficult than they need to be.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just getting geared up. Just as you're coming in, let us know who you are. Say hello. If you watch the replay, let us know you watch the replay. And we'd really like to know who we're talking to. So I see Kelly is there. But as you come in, say hello to us so we know who we're talking to, please. We'll give it another minute.
Chilly?
It's a little bit chilly with the AC on.
You can turn the fan off.
No, it's fine. It's better to leave it on, I think.
Feel a bit chilly rather than fried.
Yeah.
Roast for chicken?
Sorry. Yeah. I'm going to let you start this one off, I think. Unless you don't want.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Because if you start it off, then at least if I start it off and I start rambling, you'll have
you actually want to give me a spot to say my piece before the video goes on.
You'll actually have gotten the opportunity to speak.
Right. So we got some more people watching.
Yeah, I know. I see. I'm just gonna go down. I don't know why, but on these live videos, if you don't, on these the way Facebook has redone this now, if you don't, you don't refresh, and sometimes even when you do refresh it doesn't show the.
No,
anyway, when you're there, please say hello to us. Right now, it only shows Kelly has said something to us, and I don't know if that's correct or not. But it shows we have 6 viewers. So as you're coming in, let us know who you are. It's nice to see who we're talking to, the names and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to get started. I'll refresh this every so often just to see if we can see any more comments coming in. Or questions. So I guess to start off, I'll start by saying that if you have any questions as we're going through what we're talking about, put them in the chat. We will address them either as we go or at the end. But we wanted to talk about this mostly because, as we just kind of stated before everybody piled in, that just in conversations I've been having recently with people who want to get information about my coaching program or who are coming into my new coaching program, or even clients who I've had for a long time, we notice patterns of gravitating towards complication and making something complicated that doesn't need to be. And so we're going to address how those things and that mindset and not being aware of that can make you stay stuck and make things, well, simply more complicated because you're gravitating to the complicated. Kevin's going to start, so go ahead, sweetie.
Yeah. So as human beings, we crave success. We crave overcoming obstacles. We crave doing things, like we feel accomplished when we do something that's hard. And I think the biggest, I'm going to put this as simple as I can. Fat loss, weight loss is a very simple process. It's a very scientific and simple process. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort and a bunch of other things to do, but it's what we've been taught. We need to run on the treadmill 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. We need to be in the gym 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when we do those things and we feel the pain from it and we feel fatigued and we feel tired and all those things, well then we feel like we're accomplishing something. When in reality, overdoing it like that could end up making things worse for ourselves. So the bottom line of it is that when we do something very difficult and very hard, we feel very accomplished. And that is true and necessary for certain tasks, but not for fat loss. That's it. Well, I don't know that I'm done, but I don't want to ramble on anymore.
I think that the main point of what you're saying is that as human beings, we gravitate to complicated because complicated makes us feel accomplished. Complicated right. makes us feel like we are getting somewhere and doing something, right. even if the complicated thing keeps us spinning our wheels. As long as we're feeling like we're hardcore and we're in it and disciplined, we feel like we're getting somewhere. When technically, a lot of the times, especially if fat loss and weight loss are your goal, if you are trying to continuously make something more hardcore, i.e., I want to add on more workouts, I want to cut out a food group, I need to restrict all the things that I love, I can't have fun foods, I need to be at the gym 3-4 hours a day, I need to do cardio plus I need to do a strength training routine, yada, 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 yada. What's going to end up happening is that might work for a little while, i.e., you might be able to sustain that for a little while, but at some point in time, everything's going to come to a head.
You'll burn out.
And you'll burn out. And in addition to burning out, you will also, something's going to come up in your lifestyle, whether it's a high stress, whether it's maybe a work change, whether it's maybe even just somebody gets sick, you get injured, and all of a sudden you can't do that. And then you feel like you failed and you're no longer accomplishing anything. And because you haven't learned how to keep it simple, because you haven't learned how to do the basic things consistently to the point where it's actually feeling boring, then you go backwards or you continuously spin your wheels, i.e. you do the hard thing, you do the complicated thing, you stop. You do the hard thing, you do the complicated thing, you stop. All that just repeats a cycle.
Yeah, and you brought up a very good point. The path to fat loss is boring. The path to weight loss can be boring. And when it becomes boring, then we look for the next best thing that can make it unboring, even though it doesn't necessarily serve us.
Something that I've learned a very, very long time ago now in my own journey, because I think most of you know, because I've talked about it in social media and I've talked about it here numerous times. I've done a lot of live videos about my own journey. But one of the things that I've always done on my journey up until a point where I learned that the basics and repeat it over and over till it gets fucking so boring that it's like just natural for you is where you need to go. I was always chasing the harder thing. I was also always chasing being more hardcore. I was always chasing what can I do next to make this harder for myself, to make me feel more disciplined, to make me feel more accomplished, to make me feel like I'm in it. Sometimes it was simply adding supplementations I didn't need. Sometimes it was going on diets like Atkins while I was training for a half marathon. Sometimes it was, running every single day of the week, more and more and more miles and kilometers on my feet. Sometimes it was going to the gym and doing strength training every single day or 5-6 days a week, giving my body no rest. Sometimes it was, more and more and more protein or more and more and more whatever. And in some cases, some of those things are not always terrible ideas, but I think that a lot of times what happens is we're asking about things like supplementation. We're asking about things like, do I need this? Should I do this? Should I add this? Or should I add this? Or should I add this? When we don't even have the basics established. And if you don't have the basics established, you're going to spin your wheels because the basics are the necessities. You cannot get anywhere if you do not have the basics established. And the basics are the basics. Kevin said in the beginning something like fat loss and weight loss are not that, I don't know if he said hard or complicated. The truth is that fat loss and weight loss are not complicated. They can be hard because a lot of what goes on is that prevents you from achieving them are things that happen up here. You think consistency is this when really it's this. You are focused on being perfect. You're focused on your all or nothing mentality or whatever. But the simplicity of the process is really simple. But getting it down and getting the basics and not letting boredom prevent you from doing the thing or not always chasing the next hardcore thing to add on, those things are the hard parts. Because sorry, Kevin, but I'm going on and on now.
No, but that's okay.
But the pattern is that, and I've seen this play out many, many times, and I was also this person, but I've had clients who have had to talk through this. Because we have tendencies as human beings to think that something is better if it's harder and if it's more complicated. We also have tendencies when something is simple and is meant to be kept simple and is meant to be kept basic, where if it's not hard, we convince ourselves we're not doing enough, and then all of a sudden we've self-sabotaged out of it. And that's a pattern then.
Yeah.
So that's why, in addition to the basics, developing deeper self-awareness is also how you get through preventing keeping yourself from being stuck.
Right.
I'll let you talk now.
Yeah, and then the other thing to think about too, though, is when you get into it to begin with, and you decide you want to start making it hard, there's no progression to it. Like when people make it hard, they make it insanely hard right out of the box, and because they make it insanely hard right out of the box, they figure that if they go hardcore, they're going to get results quicker. They can be done quicker. They can achieve their goals quicker, and everything else. The harder and faster they do something, right? And then what ends up happening is it's no different than doing the basics to the point where they become boring. You do the hardcore until you burn yourself out, and you burn yourself out mentally, but you also burn yourself out physically, because your body will come to a point where,
yes.
Well, it'll retaliate, but it also your body also adjusts. Your body also takes that as your new normal. And then when you're beating the crap out of yourself every day in the gym, your body gets to a point where, okay, well, what's next? It'll need something harder than that to progress.
I think
a lot of people don't have it.
I think that one of the things that I don't know that what happens, I think, is not that we don't know it to a certain extent. There are certain things we don't know. We think we know, but we don't know. But I also think it's not always that we don't know. I think it's that we've convinced ourselves, because we're doing something so simple and because we're not getting results fast enough and because it's not extreme enough, we want to do the thing, and we don't logically sit back and think. So this is what Kevin and I were talking about this the other day when we were talking about what we were going to talk about in this coffee time. And I said to Kevin, because I was like this too for years, so it's not that I'm saying that, but we don't use logic in things, because if you logically sat back and asked yourself, how many professional, not influencers, but professional health and fitness people who you envy for the lifestyle that they live, for the body that they have, for the physique that they have, and their ability to maintain it, how many of those people do you know who cut out food groups, who work out 7 days a week, who take a bunch of supplementation, that doesn't matter, who run every day of the week, who are constantly going on and on and on? We don't do that. That's not what we do. We do the basics because we know those are the major things. And without the basics, we cannot continue to move forward. But we don't, the only time we add anything on is if we're training for something extra, or if, I don't even know what another example.
Well, no, but like when you're training, and specifically if you're strength training, you're going to want to start implementing. This is a different conversation in some way, but you're going to want to start implementing progressive overload.
No, but that still applies to fat loss, though, technically at the end of the day. And I think the other thing, and this is where I was going with this when I originally started, is that there's a very common misconception that you need to be working out, and the muscle that you need to be working out, yes, but that the workout itself is what creates fat loss, and that's false. It's not the workout that creates fat loss. The workouts and the exercise you do are the passenger to fat loss. The driver of the fat loss car is nutrition via a calorie deficit. And that includes a bunch of things: protein, more whole foods, lots of plants, fiber. But at the end of the day, we also are really, really good at convincing ourselves that the thing that is easiest for most of us, which is going to the gym for a half an hour to an hour, 3-4 times a week, is the thing that moves us forward. And then we go, fuck, I'm working out 4 or 5 times a week and I'm still not seeing results. Well, you're not seeing results because you're not focusing on the major thing. The thing that needs to be addressed is your nutrition. So again, it's breaking down the basics from if fat loss is your goal, from the hierarchy down to the bottom. So You're looking at a calorie deficit. You're looking at protein and fiber. You're looking at general movement. You're looking at strength training workouts. And then all of this other stuff is jibber jabber.
Right.
Realistically, most people don't need it at all unless you're going to compete or something like that.
Yeah, because I think the other elephant in the room with this conversation is that when people do the extreme and do the hard, they feel they're entitled to a result.
And the other thing, and this is a good point because that puts us into, and I'm sure most of you probably already heard this this saying: the more extreme the method, the more extreme the rebound. So the more extreme the method, the harder the rebound. The more you go into gravitating towards the hard, gravitating towards the complicated, grasping at this, grasping at that, but never really being consistent with anything, especially any of the major players. It's amazing to me how many people ask me about supplements, but they very rarely tell me what their nutrition looks like, how much protein they eat, how much fiber they eat, because most people don't know, but they're looking for a supplement that can be the cure. Or how many people message me and say, I work out 5 days a week, but I'm not seeing any results. Well, first of all, what does working out look like to you? But second of all, what does your nutrition look like?
Yeah.
Because, as I said, that's the workouts are the passenger to the actual protocol that you need to create a different body composition for yourself. The two go hand in hand when you're trying to change your body and get toned, but you can't do anything if your nutrition protocol is not in line.
The other thing I think too with making it complicated is that if it doesn't work, it's because it was too complicated. So when somebody doesn't want to admit that they failed in a way, they look at it and they can say, well, I did this workout that you got online and it was, this big complex thing and they didn't achieve it because it was too hard, then they have an out, right?
Yeah. I think this is where I think at the end of the day, this is the bottom line. So not everybody, a lot of people, I shouldn't say everybody, I should never put everybody in
No.
one box. A lot of people tend to, and we were talking about this the other day too. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just say it like this. The difference between me as a coach and a lot of other coaches, not all coaches, because I also know other coaches who coach like me, but the difference between me and a lot of other coaches is that I don't just play in surface level stuff. So what that means is that, example, I had somebody I talked to, I'm going to say about a week or so ago, and she told me that she's working on cutting out junk food. And there's nothing wrong with that on a surface level thing, because it looks like junk food is the culprit to your major issues. And that could be the case. But what you have to address, and this is where we're talking about when we go into complicated, you're trying to make something now super complicated and super hardcore for yourself to feel better. If I cut out all junk food and I'm white knuckling through, then I must be doing something right because it feels like it's hard.
Yeah.
Instead of, am I eating enough protein through the day? Am I eating enough fiber through the day so that I'm fuller and don't gravitate towards the junk food? Or are there emotions and stress and boredom and stuff that I'm not dealing with that's having me go to junk food? Or do I need some sort of distraction techniques or something so that I don't gravitate to that stuff? There's an underlying cause, a root cause as to why you are gravitating to more junk food when you know that fat loss is your goal and you want to feel better as your other goal.
Right.
If you are gravitating to the junk food, it goes way deeper than just cutting out the junk food. And in fact, more often than not, cutting out the junk food is only going to lead to you white knuckling through till you can't white knuckle
through no more.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're back to eating all the junk food.
Right.
You have to address things that are deeper than surface level. And this is where also, as I said, it gets really, really easy to kind of hide in your comfort, because if you don't have to address the deeper rooted stuff, then you're never really getting to the results, but you feel like you are, because again, you're doing the hardcore thing that makes you feel like you're accomplishing something.
Right, and that's the message you want to send to people too, because you're looking at it, go, well, I'm doing all this hardcore stuff. People see that, oh, you're white knuckling through, you're doing all this, all the power to you. You're doing these hardcore workouts. You're going to get real fit and all that kind of stuff. And that's another reason why people gravitate to the hard, because they get some validation from other people by
Exactly.
seeing
By
that,
do,
by seeing somebody doing something hard.
it's why there's so when you see a post anywhere, no matter what group it is or anywhere on Facebook, and somebody says something like, I'm looking for fat loss, but I'm having trouble with it. And you'll see that all of these people go, oh, you should do carnivore, or you should do keto, or you should do this, and you should do this. And there'll be 101 comments on those, as in, yay, that's a great idea, yada, yada, yada. But if you see somebody say it's a matter of, adding the basics, getting consistent with the basics, doing the simple things over and over, getting deeper than just the surface level and going into the root cause, crickets.
Yeah.
The reason is because nobody wants to hear that that's true. Nobody wants to hear that that's the truth. But again, if you use logic, how many diets have we seen like carnivore? We've seen Atkins that I know of, because that's where I was. That's in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen Atkins, we've seen keto, and now we've seen carnivore. Those three diets are almost the exact same thing. They're a little bit different, but not by much. We've seen diets like the grapefruit diet and all those things. And yes, they work in terms of they do help you lose weight. But how many people do you know who have done those kind of things who are still living that lifestyle today? I did Atkins 2 or 3 times, and I'm not living that lifestyle today. In fact, I eat more carbohydrates now than I ever have. And I've done numerous diets where I did not live that lifestyle. And I think the other thing we should probably touch on is that if you are coming into something where you legit are ready to create a lifestyle change, where you legit are tired of diets, legitimately tired of diets, you have to accept that it's not going to be weeks, it's not going to be months. It's basically a change in your lifestyle and how you live today and how you eat today and how you move today forever.
Right. Because the big thing is people, this is my perception, I shouldn't say this, but my perception is that people forget how long it took them to get where they are. I'm 53 years old. So, 3 years ago, I started, I wanted to get fitter and things like that. And I still look at my body and go, really? I've been doing this for 3 years and this is, you still look like this? And it's like, okay, yeah, but you also started, with a fat addition program at about 25 years old. So from 25 to 53, you've been putting weight on, not taking it off. So you can't expect fat loss to be within 4 to 6 months, even if you're consistent with it.
I think
significant fat loss within 4 to 6 months, and having the knowledge and the wherewithal and the habits and everything built to keep it off.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing. The actual fat loss part of it, you can probably achieve, depending on how much you have to go, within 6 months.
Right.
6 months to a year. But understanding the habits, behaviors, and mindsets needed to keep it off, which is the ultimate goal for most people, takes way longer than that. It's something that you basically are consistently practicing until it becomes boring and it becomes just naturally part of who you are to make those choices for yourself. But I'll give you a couple of examples of things that have happened to me just this week alone. And what are we on? Tuesday. So from Sunday to now, where I'm like, really? So one was that somebody reached out, asked me a question, and asked me about some things, and then all of a sudden they reached out and they told me I gave them all of the things that I would discuss and I would tell them and yada yada, and then they told me they went to a nutritionist and the nutritionist gave them some sort of meal plan, and now they're doing a combination of both, which is going to be a disaster. 1, 2, I had somebody reach out, I think that was yesterday. Whatever, anyway, it doesn't matter. And again, asked me about supplementation. I had somebody reach out a few days ago. This might have been longer than this, is just this last 3 days, and asked me about carnivore and how, should they do it and how it works and yada yada. And again, to me now, where I am, it makes logical sense that these things, if you logically sit back and you assess where you are and where you want to go, these things should logically not make sense.
Right. What you have to do is you have to look at it and go, okay, well, this is what the diet consists of. Can you do that for the rest of your life?
Exactly.
If you can do that for the rest of your life, fill your boots.
Yeah. So and rest of your life includes Christmas, includes summers, includes holidays, includes birthdays, includes weddings, includes all of it. And that, when you learn how to have a relationship with food, you're including all food. that doesn't mean you're restricting junk food. It doesn't mean you're restricting eating at the night. It doesn't mean any of that. It means you're implementing certain habits, behaviors, and mindsets throughout your journey in your days to be able to moderate things and make choices intentionally for where you want to go in your ultimate goal. And the hardest part about fat loss, when you are actually, doing the basics and getting consistent with the basics and not doing just random
Shit.
weird diets and shit, is the hardest part is this. The hardest part is the mind is telling you that it's not hard enough. The mind is telling you it's not complicated enough. The mind is telling you you must need to add something on. You have no idea how many people, how many clients will come into my 6-week program, and my 6-week program there's 3 workouts per week, 3 strength training workouts that are roughly 35 to 40 minutes, including the warm-up, 3 times a week. Most people, by the time they get to week 3, are already messaging me, asking me when they should add on the 4th workout. The truth is, you could go years and never add on a 4th workout. I have clients who have been my clients for 3, 4, 5 years who are still doing 3 workouts a week, still seeing progress. And why? Because progress comes from sustainability and from consistency, not from adding things on. The same thing with, I have coach clients who are adding all this random shit onto their workouts. They're either adding in random whatever, or they're adding in random cardio, or they're adding in this, or they're adding in that. And then before you know it, they've put themselves backwards. Why? Because again, that's not necessary. And when you do that kind of stuff, more often than not, you're increasing your appetite. Right. And then more often than not, even if you don't realize it, suddenly you're eating more, or you're craving more, or you can't control your food as well.
You can understand why that happens, though, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you look at a standard diet or a diet plan, where the diet plan is set up for you to lose weight within 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, you're going to lose X amount of pounds. So when your brain has been trained that a diet only lasts for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or whatever it is, it's no wonder that after a certain amount of time, you're looking, okay, so what do I need to add on now? Because all the diets you've done your whole life, after a certain amount of time, you have to stop doing that and do something else now, or add something else to that, right? And that's just a natural process. So the biggest struggle that we have teaching clients is the fact that you've got to break that train of thought process.
The only thing
that completely has to go away.
It's like breaking that pattern. The only real thing that you have to consistently add on as you go through your journey is your effort level. If you are starting at an effort level whereby, let's just say, you're barely getting the minimum amount of protein or not able to get protein, but it's better than you were doing before. You are controlling your portions, but you're still having trouble staying within your calories, or you're close to the amount of fiber that you need, but you're not quite there yet, or not quite there consistently. Your effort needs to increase to meet the basic stuff. But at the end of the day, in terms of add-ons, or in terms of and your intensity in the gym, like once you get stronger, you should be adding more weight, or those kind of things. But it doesn't mean one of the most hardcore times that I felt in my life are actually 2. One was when I was training for the half marathon and I was doing Atkins at the same time. Guess why I felt so hardcore? 1, the half marathon training was hard for me. And 2, the Atkins diet made me feel like I was white knuckling through. And so that must be really, really good for me because I'm disciplined. I'm disciplined as fuck because I can do this. And that's how you feel in your head.
Yeah.
When you're willpowering and white knuckling through, you feel disciplined as fuck because that's what we've been taught that we need. That's what we've been taught through diets over and over and over and over, that's what we need. And second time was when I competed. And when I competed and I walked it on stage, I remember literally thinking to myself, holy fuck, Melissa, you made it. You're disciplined as fuck. Really? And you walk out on stage for 10 minutes, you show off your muscles and your whatever, and then it's over. And again, every single time when I've ever felt like I was white knuckling through, like I was willpowering through, like I was restricting and depriving and eliminating unnecessarily, and I was super hardcore, everything came tumbling down after. And there was a huge crash afterwards. And everything went backwards, or most things went backwards, until I learned and accepted. And I think acceptance is also part of the process. It's accepting And if you're not willing to accept it, then it's one of those things that you have to accept. If you're not willing to accept that this is the way that it has to be, you're not going to get it. You have to be ready to accept it. Because at the point in my life where I was, I'm like, I can't be doing. I'm not going this hardcore only to come all the way down here again. I can't do it. So I accepted. I accepted. Okay, this is what I see. All the people who I admire, what they're doing. I'm hiring a coach. This is what he's telling me to do. I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And that's how I got to where I am today. And it wasn't easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's simple, but it wasn't easy. But only because my brain was fighting me the whole time, because my brain was telling me that you're not willpowering or white knuckling through this. It feels hard in some ways, but not so hard that like it was before. You don't have to run every day of the week. You can go for a nice leisurely walk. Yeah. You don't have to. You go to the gym and you're pushing your body hard in the gym, but you don't have to do that every single day of the week. You need rest days, and they're actually telling you to enjoy your rest days, promote your rest days, go for a walk if you want, but you literally have to do nothing else. And all of that was super unknown and uncommon for me. It was like, wow, this is a whole new world. And my mind and my brain, because I wasn't comfortable with that, used to fight me the whole time. And I used to have to draw myself, or Kevin, one of us would have to draw me back, because listen, this is what you need. This is how you're going to get to a place where you can actually sustain this process and live the lifestyle that you want, where you can go on vacation or have Christmas come up and not, go all the way backwards. And basically, I guess at the end of the day, that's it. You have to accept. And I mean, if you follow most health and fitness professionals online, you see them say probably all the time, the basics are what you need. The basics are where it's at. The basic lifestyle habits. Balanced plates, more whole food, more protein, more fiber, more vegetables and fruit, more walking, a strength training program that's actually something you can be consistent with. So if that only means 2 days a week for you, then do 2 days a week. If that only means 3 days a week, do 3 days a week. You literally don't need to work out 5, 6, 7 days a week. I don't know. Do we need to say anything else?
No, I think that's about it. I mean,
I think we babbled long enough.
Well,
I'm going to see if there's any questions there, but you go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is that when you talk about lifestyle, and all you have to do is look at what we do. Right? We've been here in Mexico for 8 weeks. And
7.5, you told me today.
7.5 weeks. Actually, it's not quite 7.5 weeks. It's only 7 weeks.
We have 9 days left.
It's 9 days left. So, not a pound gained, and you're not cooking for yourself, and you're just mindful of what you eat every day. You make sure you get 10,000 steps every day. You make sure you hit the gym 4 days a week that we do at home. We do the exact same thing here that we do at home, regardless of whether we're in the mood or not in the mood.
Only we have a few more treats here than we do at home.
We certainly have more treats
than we do at home.
But at the same time, we're aware of how we fit that into what we do.
Yeah. And again, like when we're saying this, we're not trying to tell you this is easy. This was a process. When I first started, there was no way I would have been able to come to Mexico for 8 weeks and not get in my head. It's not that I didn't have the habits or didn't have the capability, but I didn't trust myself enough to do those things. And that's one of the other things. It's as I said before, it's less about the surface level stuff. Realistically, at the end of the day, I can tell you how many calories you need to eat, how much protein you need to eat, how much fiber you need to eat. You should get X amount of steps per day, drink X amount of water, get X amount of sleep, yada, 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 all those things. But that, again, is surface level stuff. The reason you don't do those things goes deeper, either because you don't have the education, so you don't know, or you don't understand what consistency really is. Maybe you are a perfectionist and you get in your head and it's all about the all or nothing. There's numerous reasons. Maybe you have patterns of self-sabotage. Maybe you have stories you tell yourself, like it's not complicated enough, it's not hard enough, and therefore you keep yourself stuck. There are numerous reasons for why it happens, but it goes way deeper than just, I need to eat this much protein, this much fiber, and this many calories. Yeah. It simply does. It took me years to get to a point where I could come here and trust myself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the hardest parts, is digging into yourself and really having a look and finding out what that is.
At the end of the day, and I tell my clients this all the time, at the end of the day, the ability to actually create a sustainable lifestyle is about self-awareness. It's about how much self-awareness you have and an ability and a learned ability. Because I think you can only, I personally, from my experience, I don't think I would be here if I didn't have coaches pointing it out. Somebody to be objective with you who says, you're doing this and you need to do this. So somebody teach you how to be able to call yourself out on your own bullshit so that you can say, yeah, I need to stop doing this and I need to fight this. This is my pattern, this is my story, but this is not the story that I want to live, so I need to fight it.
And quite typically, you can't figure that out on your own.
More often. Yeah, that's right.
More often than not.
More often than not. I can't even talk today. More often than not, you need somebody to tell you.
Yeah.
I've had coaches call me out on a lot of shit over the years, both in business and in health and fitness. And I'm also known because I often tell it like it is. I'm not necessarily, I don't know if I call it tough, but I have no issue giving tough love. But your ability to take that stuff when you hire a coach makes all the difference. And for me, I've had things thrown at me like, you need to stop all the fucking running, Melissa, number one. Or you don't have enough self-belief or self-trust in yourself. Like, we need to build on that. Those things are sometimes hard to hear as an individual who really, really wants something and doesn't understand why they're holding themselves back. And then they hear somebody say, you're holding yourself back because you don't have enough self-trust, you don't have enough self-belief, and you haven't done the small things consistently enough to build on the sense of accomplishment to create the self-confidence that you're after.
Yeah.
The belief that you can do it. Sorry, I'm spitting.
Don't need a shower now.
Anyway,
Anyways,
that's it. I just want to check and make sure that there's no.
I didn't see any questions. So.
I didn't either, but. Hey, Kelly. I already said hello. Hey, Heather. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Beja. Hope you're well. Hi, Dolores. Hope you're well. Chantel. Hey. Haven't seen you on a call for a while. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Amy. Hey, Susie. Tracy. Yeah, it's true. Because the workouts don't technically move the dial in that way, fat loss wise, without nutrition being also part of it. Hey, Maria, nice to see you. Or I guess not see you, but you know what I mean. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. We will have another coffee time. The next time we do coffee time, it will be from Fort McMurray.
Our hair and
everything will be done.
Will look a little more professional.
So we'll see you the second Tuesday of April. Okay. All the best. Thanks for signing on. And when you watch the replay, let us know you watched the replay.